My family managed to miss the single most important milestone of my life. No congratulatory call. No thoughtful text. Not even a lazy sorry something came up, nothing. The silence wrapped around me with a familiar chill, one I'd grown up learning to swallow. So when the news about my company's valuation started spreading across the internet, articles, tweets, podcasts, I had no reason to expect anything from them. The world suddenly noticed me, finally, but my family, they only noticed what benefited them. Which is why, sitting alone in my office overlooking the glowing city, the message from my father struck me like a cold draft. Family dinner. 7 p.m. important discussion. No hello, no congratulations, no warmth, just a summons. The kind kings send, not fathers. A strange feeling stirred inside me. Not hope, I'd buried that a long time ago. And not fear. Fear requires the illusion that someone can still hurt you. This was something steadier, colder, recognition. Because I knew this wasn't a reunion. It was a setup. I leaned back in my chair, the city lights reflecting off the window like someone had scattered stars across the glass. Normally, the papers on my desk, projections, investor sheets, product mock-ups, demanded my whole mind. But today they felt weightless. For years, building my company meant late nights in borrowed spaces, frozen dinners eaten on the floor, and mornings waking up with my cheek imprinted by my keyboard. But the grind paid off. The valuation had hit the news that morning, and suddenly the same people who once dismissed my ideas as childish were reaching out with admiration dripping down their voices. Everyone except my own family. My father, Gregory, used to say, "Real business is concrete, land, bricks. Everything I built, tech, platforms, growth, was to him a hobby disguised as ambition." My mother, Helena, never outright dismissed me. She simply pretended my work didn't exist. Marcus talked as if he had climbed corporate mountains he only ever read about. Dylan, the youngest, lived as if life owed him a spotlight just for waking up. So when that cold, formal message appeared on my phone, I knew it wasn't about me. It was about what they thought they could take. And yet, a little part of me hesitated. The part that still remembered being 21, standing in my cramped dorm room waiting for a call before my first major exam. A call that never came. The part that remembered sleeping in my car when rent was due and hearing my father's voice telling me, "Struggle builds character." The part that, even after all the success, still wondered whether showing up might change something. But hope is a habit you eventually learn to break. I closed my laptop and grabbed my jacket, the simple one I wore to family gatherings to avoid their judgmental glances. I left my SUV in the garage. Instead, I took the old sedan with the cracked steering wheel, the one they recognized. When people underestimate you, they make mistakes. And I needed them predictable tonight. The drive to the country club felt like flipping through a deck of old memories I never wanted, but somehow still carried. The forgotten birthdays, the hollow holidays, the way I learned to make myself smaller to avoid drawing their disappointment. But not tonight. Tonight, I would walk into that building for the first time without craving anyone's approval. The country club sat on a small rise, glowing like a trophy someone forgot to dust. I parked behind a line of gleaming luxury cars that looked like they'd never been driven through anything messier than rain. My sedan groaned as I shut the door. I rested my hand on the roof for a moment, grounding myself. Inside, the marble floors reflected the lights so brightly they seemed to accuse you of not being rich enough. The air smelled like polished wood, old money, and citrus. The scent of places that pretend to be timeless. A young valet glanced at me, then past me, expecting someone more important. I didn't bother correcting him. As I reached the private dining room, I heard their laughter, loud, rehearsed, and hollow, the kind used to fill space, not hearts. When I opened the door, the performance stopped mid-scene. My father stood first, smile too wide to be real. "Rose," he said, like greeting a long-lost employee, not a daughter. My mother kissed my cheek, then frowned. "You look tired. Are you taking care of yourself?" Marcus smirked like he'd predicted my entire life. Dylan didn't even lift his eyes from his phone. One chair sat slightly apart from the rest, a subtle statement. I took it without comment. The first few minutes were the same old script. Polite questions dipped in condescension. My little company, my busy schedule, my cute tech thing. I answered calmly, letting them play out their shallow routine. Then Marcus leaned back, wine glass in hand. "So, your name made the news today?" His tone wasn't admiration, it was measurement. My father added, "Quite the spotlight. Must be unexciting." Exciting to him meant something we can use. Then it happened. The air tightened, their faces shifted, the small talk evaporated. This was the real dinner. Gregory folded his hands like a CEO addressing shareholders. "We actually need to talk about something important tonight." There it was, the trap closing. Victor, always the family's unofficial advisor, adjusted his jacket. "As you know," he said smoothly, "the motel group has been facing some challenges." Challenges, a gentle word for financial collapse. My father jumped in. "But we're planning an overhaul, a complete transformation, spa, suites, event hall, everything." I kept my expression blank. Marcus added, "This is legacy stuff, Rose. Long-term. Something more serious than digital toys." "Digital toys, how cute." My mother touched my arm softly. "This is your chance to help the family, to give back." Give back, as if I hadn't spent a lifetime giving. Then Gregory delivered the punch. "We need a bridge loan, just 1.5 million. You have access now, the status, the investors." He said status like I was a vending machine for money. Victor added quickly, "We'll repay you once the construction financing lands." Marcus nodded eagerly. Dylan paused his scrolling. All of them hungry. All of them expecting the old version of me. The version trained to bend. I placed my napkin gently on the table. "So," I said quietly, "you skipped the biggest moment of my life. But you showed up for this." The silence went electric. My father's jaw clenched. "Don't be dramatic. This is about family." Family. Funny word coming from people who only called when they needed something. I met his gaze, steady as steel. "I didn't come here to save something you already set on fire." My mother gasped. Marcus stopped smiling. Victor froze. Because they had no idea that tonight I hadn't shown up to give them money. I'd shown up to end the game entirely. The room froze the moment the words left my mouth. It was as if the air stiffened, turned heavy, and settled across the table like a thick layer of frost. My father blinked slowly, struggling to process the fact that I had dared to speak without permission, worse, with defiance. Helena tightened her grip on her wineglass. Marcus leaned forward, his brows pulled together as if he were examining a misbehaving employee. Dylan finally looked up from his phone for the first time. Victor, always the smooth-talking strategist, tried to cut the tension with a composed smile. "Rose," he began, "you're misunderstanding—" "No," I said, my voice calm. "I'm finally understanding everything." Their eyes snapped toward me like magnets. So much expectation, so much entitlement. I continued, tone even, almost pleasant. "You didn't congratulate me. Not one of you, not even a text." Helena opened her mouth, searching for an excuse. "We were busy—" "With what?" I asked, arching a brow. "Planning tonight's meeting? Practicing your lines?" She flinched, lips folding inward. I leaned back, letting the silence spool out and cut through every fragile excuse they were preparing. Victor tried again, keeping his voice level. "We genuinely need your help. The motel group is—" "Drowning," I finished for him. "I'm aware." They stared. They expected me to be clueless. They expected me to be blind. But I had done my homework the second I saw the message from my father. I knew every number, every failing building, every unpaid supplier, every missed tax deadline. They weren't just facing challenges. They were already underwater and sinking fast. Victor cleared his throat. "That's why your support would be invaluable. Think of the potential. If we turn the properties around—" "Victor," I interrupted softly. "Why did you think I'd bring money to rescue a business run by people who never believed in me?" Marcus scoffed, offended. "This isn't about old feelings. Don't be childish." Childish. A word he loved using. A word they all used whenever I refused to bend. My gaze sharpened. "You called my entire career a cute side project until the valuation went public." Marcus shifted in his chair, but he didn't deny it. My father's patience was thinning. His voice hardened. "Rose, this attitude isn't helpful. We came here with a proposal." "No," I corrected. "You came here with a demand dressed as a proposal." My father exhaled sharply. "You're acting like you're above your own family." "Maybe I am," I said quietly. Helena covered her mouth as if I had struck her. She always played the victim when the truth burned too close. Dylan finally spoke. "You're overreacting. It's just money." I turned to him slowly. "No, Dylan. It's everything that comes with it. Control, guilt, Ownership? His brows furrowed. Ownership? They all stiffened. Because that word wasn't accidental. That word was a warning. Marcus narrowed his eyes. What exactly are you implying? I folded my hands on the table, mirroring Gregory's earlier posture, the one he used when giving orders. If I invest, I said softly, I don't loan. I take ownership. Their shock was instant and explosive. You can't be serious, Marcus snapped. My mother shook her head. That's ridiculous. Victor inhaled sharply. That's not the arrangement we discussed. My father's voice rose. We're not selling our legacy. I held his gaze. You already did. You just didn't read the fine print. Silence. Thick, heavy, trembling. What fine print? Helena whispered. I smiled. I'm small, calm, and ruthless. The one you walked right into the moment you invited me here. Victor leaned forward, panic leaking into his tone. Rose, what did you do? I slid my phone from my pocket and placed it face down on the table. I've been tracking the motel group's financials for weeks, and your situation is far past a rescue. Gregory's jaw tightened. You hacked? I researched, I clarified, something every responsible investor does. Marcus's face paled. What are you saying? I lowered my voice, letting each word land with deliberate weight. You're insolvent. You've defaulted on 2 private loans. Your main lender is preparing to liquidate the assets. You're days away from losing everything, not months. My father's face flushed red. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I tapped my phone. One soft sound. One trigger. And the folder of documents slid across the screen like a verdict. Victor reached for it instantly, scanning the numbers. His expression darkened. This isn't possible, he murmured. It's accurate, I said, and it's already in motion. Panic rippled around the table. Helena pressed her hand to her chest. You didn't come here to help us. No, I said. I came here to see how far you'd go. Marcus glared. So what? You want control of everything? The properties? The brand? I looked at him steadily. You want me to invest? Fine, I will. The room snapped to stillness again. Nobody breathed. My mother gasped in relief. Oh, thank God. But, I added, not under your terms. Victor swallowed hard. What are your terms? I steepled my fingers. I acquire the entire motel group. All locations, all land, all assets, all debts, everything. Marcus shot to his feet. Are you insane? You're asking us to hand over decades of work. You came here asking me for $1.5 million, I reminded him calmly. To fix a business that can't be fixed. You didn't bring me a legacy. You brought me a corpse. My father slammed his hand on the table. You think because you had one lucky break? Luck, I said quietly. My company didn't grow from luck. It grew from the nights I spent alone, building a future you didn't believe I deserved. He glared at me, furious, humiliated. Why would we ever agree to this? Marcus demanded. Because, I answered, your lender will seize everything by the end of the week. Victor's throat bobbed. She's right. I've seen these patterns before. This is bad. Marcus rounded on him. You knew! Victor lifted his palms. I suspected. I didn't have proof until now. Gregory sank slowly into his chair, his face drained. My mother whispered, So, we lose either way? No, I said gently. You lose everything? Or you sign it over to me and walk away debt-free? Dylan leaned back, stunned. Why would you even want it? I turned my gaze to him. Because you never took me seriously. You never respected what I built. You dismissed everything I worked for. You thought you could just walk in and demand a piece of my success. Then I straightened my shoulders. So now, I'm taking something of yours. No one spoke. No one breathed. The family that had underestimated me all my life was finally seeing me clearly. Victor rubbed his forehead. This is a brutal deal, he whispered, but it's the only one left. My father stared at the table as if the wood grain itself had betrayed him. Marcus looked shattered. Helena's eyes filled with tears, but not the kind that come from loss, the kind that come from shock. And then I said the final words that sealed the night. You have until tomorrow morning to sign. After that, the option disappears. For the first time in years, the house felt strangely quiet. No footsteps, no clattering dishes, no soft bickering over breakfast. Just silence. Thick, stagnant, and heavy enough to expose every truth hiding in the cracks of the walls. Rose stood in the living room, one hand on the armrest of the sofa, the other cupping the envelope the investigator had given her. It felt warm, almost alive, like it had a heartbeat of its own. "This is your final decision," his words echoed. "Once you open it, you can't go back." But the truth was already out. She had gone too far to retreat. Rose placed the envelope on the table and slid into the armchair her mother used to knit in. She never imagined that 10 years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, long shifts, and every dream she'd postponed would end with her holding documents that proved everything she feared. Not only had her parents forged her signature, not only had they used her future to borrow more money, not only had they built a life of luxury on her name, they had done it willingly. Her heart squeezed, but she did not cry. She was past tears now. The front door opened quietly. Her father stepped in, followed by her mother, whose eyes darted toward the envelope like it might explode. Their son, her brother, stood at the threshold, chewing on his lip, unsure whether to enter. Rose straightened. "Sit," she said. Her father obeyed immediately. Her mother hesitated, but the steel in Rose's eyes pulled her down into a chair. The envelope waited between them. Her father broke first. "Rose, Beta, we didn't know it would get so big." Her jaw tightened. "You didn't know, or you didn't care?" He flinched. Her mother leaned forward, voice quivering. "We only wanted to keep this family afloat. You know how expensive life has become. And so you used me." Rose's voice was barely above a whisper, but it sliced straight through the room. Her mother blinked rapidly as if rehearsing tears. "You're our daughter. Everything we have is yours too." Rose let out a soft, humorless breath. "Is that so?" She slid the envelope toward them. "Then look inside." Her mother refused. Her father reached out with trembling hands and opened it. The color drained from his face. The investigator had found everything. The forged signature used for the first loan. The second loan taken in Rose's name without consent. The hidden account where the money had been transferred. The partnership documents tying her to the motel chain's debt. The resale agreements signed by her parents behind her back. Her mother's voice cracked. "Who gave you this?" "A private investigator, the one you saw outside the bank last week." Her brother sucked in a breath. "Mom, Dad, this is criminal." Her father slammed the papers down, face red. "We did it for you. You think this family survives without sacrifice?" Rose's voice turned cold. "Then why was mine the only sacrifice?" Silence fell so complete that even the ceiling fan seemed to hold still. Her mother lowered her eyes. "We thought you wouldn't mind. You're responsible. You always take care of things. Your brother—" Rose's eyes snapped toward him. "My brother what?" His shoulders hunched. "They told me not to worry about the business, that you'd handle everything." There it was, the truth. She had been raised to survive. He had been raised to be protected. Her father reached across the table, desperation creeping into his voice. "Rose, you can fix this. You always fix everything. Just take over the debt, help us reorganize the motels. We'll all work together." A bitter laugh escaped her. "You forged my name. You lied. And now you want me to fix the consequences of crimes I didn't commit?" Her mother opened her mouth, but Rose raised a hand, quiet but firm. "Don't," she whispered. "You've said enough." She stood, opened the second folder the investigator had provided, and placed new documents on the table. "These are settlement agreements," she announced. "I had options. I could send you both to prison. I could freeze your accounts and take every motel under legal right." Her father swallowed hard. "But you won't." She looked at him, really looked at him. The man who taught her to ride a bike, who clapped for her at school plays, who held her when she cried at 16. A man who had also sold her future for comfort. Her voice softened, but only slightly. "I'm not sending you to prison." Her mother exhaled in relief. "But," Rose continued, "I am taking control." Her parents froze. "Effective today," she said, sliding the documents toward them. "Every motel, every lease, every existing loan moves under my name." Her mother gaped. But that means—" "Yes," Rose said calmly. "It means the debt is legally mine, and so is the business. All of it." Her father stood abruptly. "Rose, you can't take everything. We built this." Rose's eyes didn't waver. "On my name, with my credit, with money borrowed from my future." Her brother whispered, stunned. "So, Mom, Dad, you used her name to build your life, and now she's taking her life back." They didn't answer. Rose gathered the papers neatly. You will sign these agreements, she said, or I will press charges. Her mother burst into tears, real ones this time. Her father's shoulders sagged. Neither resistance nor anger remained. With trembling hands, they signed. Rose watched every pen stroke with a strange numbness, not satisfaction, not triumph, just closure, quiet and final. When the last signature dried, she stood. Thank you, her mother sobbed. Rose, please don't leave us. Rose paused in the doorway. You didn't leave me much to stay for. Her father reached for her, but she stepped back. Take care of each other, she murmured. You always wanted to be a team. Now you can be, without me to carry the weight. And with that, she walked out. The evening breeze hit her face as she stepped outside, warm and sharp like the summer air that used to fill her childhood yard. She inhaled deeply, then exhaled a decade of burden she no longer owed to anyone. Her phone buzzed. It was the investigator. They signed? Yes, she replied. Transfer the business. She hung up, feeling the final thread of obligation snap cleanly. Rose walked toward the streetlights glowing softly along the road. The night carried no fear, no guilt, no confusion. Only freedom. She whispered to herself, My life is mine again. And for the first time, it truly was.